Hi, Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor, and in this short series of videos we're looking at 10 things that I've learned over the last 20 years in doing property for myself as an investor. And number 6 on my list is that you can achieve more than you think you can, but the key thing is you need to keep doing it. Now, you've probably heard the expression that you'll achieve less in 1 year than you imagine, but you'll probably achieve more in 5 years than you thought possible. And I think that that's a Tony Robbins-ism, but I'm not entirely sure. I've heard Tony Robbins say it, that's for sure. Anyway, the truth is, whoever said it, it's absolutely true. You're probably going to do less in your first year than you hope or imagine, but you're probably going to be able to achieve more over 5 years than you even think is possible now. And the reason why I say that with such certainty is because that's exactly what happened to me. So why are you going to achieve less in your first year? Well, probably because most of us go into projects, whether that be in business or whether it be outside of business, whether it be in property or something else, probably with very high expectations. Maybe we have hopes and dreams and aspirations. Maybe we're just overly optimistic. Maybe it comes down to the simple fact that people who take action and who are going to be entrepreneurial and do property successfully are by their very nature optimistic. I don't know. But the reality is that things are probably going to be harder than you imagine. Now, I'm not saying that to put you off, but this is just being real. Does it have to be that way? Well, no, not necessarily. But as a general rule, this seems to be the case. Maybe in our first year, any setback that we have, and there will be setbacks, but maybe any setback which we have is going to feel or seem to be more significant or more detrimental maybe than setbacks which we have later when we've got the proper processes and systems in place to support our business. There's probably 101 reasons why it works out that way. Of course, one of the main things is when we get started, we need to build momentum, and it takes time to build that momentum. We might go into it with high hopes thinking, well, I'm going to buy 10 properties in my first year, or I'm going to buy 1 property a month in my first year. But actually, buying your first property could take you 9 months because you've got to build the momentum, you've got to build relationships with estate agents, you've got to get your power team in place. It's going to take 3 months to convey the property because that's just how long it takes. If you think back to my last video, everything happens in the time it takes to happen, and sometimes you just can't hurry it. These things happen, so building momentum takes time. But the flip side to it is over 5 years you're probably going to be able to achieve far more than you ever realised that you could. Why? Because over that 5 years you are going to be building systems and processes which support your property business and which support your property buying. You'll build a lot of knowledge and you'll be able to leverage yourself, you'll be able to leverage your own knowledge and experience over that 5 years. You'll have your team in place. You will have the processes and the systems built into the business which will help you to scale. Very important. All of that stuff will come to be, and it will also come to alignment, and it will help you progress even more quickly than you thought you could. Now, I remember when I first started, I went into property with a very simple goal. I wanted 50 properties and I wanted cash flow of £5,000 a month. And in my first year, I bought 8 properties. Considering I was starting with no money at all of my own, I was really, really pleased with that. But I hit the buffers quite quickly. After year 1, I hit a significant problem, which I'll probably tell you about in a different video. But fast forward 5 years, and I found myself buying and selling, what we could call flipping, not just properties, but whole portfolios, something I could never have imagined on day 1. In my first year, I was really content and happy that I just bought 8 properties. By the end of year 5, I was buying portfolios of a dozen properties or more and selling them on. Who would have thought? Well, certainly not me. So it just goes to show the truth in that expression. So until the next video, here's to successful property investing. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know more about me, come to thepropertyteacher.co.uk where you'll find out more about me.